Yeah, Friday! Welcome to the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast, the future #1 weight loss podcast in the world. I am your host, Donato Russo. I hope you enjoy the show today. If this is your first time here and you enjoy the show, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. If the podcast app you're listening on allows you to rate the show, please leave a 4-star or 5-star rating. Any rating is greatly appreciated. This is episode 84, and boy, do I have a great show planned for today. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into this. Journey updates. Well, we gained a pound this week. So total pounds lost for the month of March is 3.8 pounds. Total pounds lost since January 2019 is 140.6 pounds. Pounds remaining to get to milestone 150 is 9.4 pounds. Pounds remaining to get to milestone 175 is 3.4 pounds. And the pounds remaining to get to minus 200 is 59.4 pounds. We have entered phase 3 of our diabetic experience. It's crazy how quickly the time has gone here. We are now in week 5. Can you believe that? I feel like I just started this thing. Really, it's insanity how fast time goes by here. So as I approached, I know I didn't talk much about this last week, but I had a plan. As I was going over and reviewing everything I had done, I noticed that I wasn't truly under my points or within the 40 points I was allotted every day of the week. I also didn't notice that in the process of losing the 4.8 pounds, I lost a point, so my daily intake was at 39. So once I realized all this and I looked, it was like 3 days that I was going over 40, but still within my points. At least the app showed me within my points because I earned points for drinking water, eating vegetables, and so on. The only thing is, I don't like eating or being able to eat points because I make good choices. There's something about, if I do the exercise and earn the points, I have no problem using those points when I want to. No problem with that. But when they introduced the new plan in November, and they were giving away points if you drank X amount of water, if you ate how every serving of vegetables, you get a point. There's just, look, I'm not into it. Sorry. You guys could love it. You guys can use those points all you want. I'm not into it. And I refuse to use them. Phase 3 the goal was to truly get under the 39-point range. And so the first thing I looked at was the creamer in my coffee, because that's 7 points a day goes to creamer in my coffee because I drink a large amount of coffee. So I said if I could tolerate drinking the coffee at half the amount of creamer I use, the amount of points would drop 4 points. So I would be 3 points per day rather than 7 points per day. Because, on Weight Watchers, 3 plus 3 equals 7. But I'm not a mathematician. What do I know? Everyone has experienced that. Everyone who has joined Weight Watchers has experienced the idea of doubling the amount of points on something and then getting this mysterious point added on because you decided to have 2 servings of whatever it is you've chosen, and all of a sudden they just add on a mysterious point. And that frustration that comes along with it. Well, Don, there's an explanation for that. I don't care. Let me just say that. I don't care. I understand there's an explanation. I even understand the explanation. But I don't care. I'm going to be disgruntled and complain about it because it's stupid. Because where I come from, 3 plus 3 will always equal 6. Bottom line. So that was an easy cut down. It brought the daily intake down 4 more points. And there was only 1 or 2 more days where I had to really get down and dirty and see what we can do about reducing point usage. So then I found that right now it was easy to make this decision because right now this is not the time of year, I guess, for green grapes. I don't know. They haven't been in the grocery stores. I don't know if it's because of a food shortage thing or if it's because of this is not the season for green grapes, but I love green grapes. They're my favorite. And right now, all that seems to be in the grocery store is red grapes. And a cup of red grapes, well, they're both really 4 points. A cup of either grapes are 4 points on the diabetic plan. And I was willing to pay the 4 points for the green grapes. But the last few weeks, green grapes haven't been available, and I just don't like red grapes. I don't like them, never did, don't care for them whatsoever. So we made an easy point swap. We're going to do a cup of honeydew melon instead of the red grapes. This way, we drop our total point usage for each day is down by 6. And this brings us underneath the 39-point range going forward, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. We are now officially underneath or at the 39-point range for the diabetic experiment. And we're going to be here for the next 2 weeks for phase 3. Now, I may be adding 2 more weeks onto this to make the full experiment be 8 weeks. And at some point during this, I'm going to make a permanent decision here of whether or not this is sustainable long term or not. If I feel like I want to go back to the old way, I can go back to the old way. But there has been success found here. And part of me is like, is this the sacrifice that I have to make to get to 150? I've cut quite a bit of points out of my day. And the crazy part is the majority of the points I cut out on the previous survey questionnaire, so before I changed everything to say I'm diabetic, the majority of the things I cut out were considered 0 previously. Brown rice, 0. Corn, 0. The 2 things that I cut out that were actually points previously was stovetop stuffing on Wednesday nights and my protein bar daily. Those were the 2 things that were still points before the diabetic switch in the survey. I believe if I add 2 more weeks to this and I just stay at this range for the next 4 weeks total, I'll be able to give an educated decision, is this sustainable? If I feel like I can't give an educated decision, I'm going to extend it more. And if I have to go 12 weeks before I can decide if this is sustainable, because I'm not going to stay here if I feel like I'm going to end up making mistakes I shouldn't make. If it's not sustainable, it's not sustainable, and that's all there is to it. I'll have to figure something else out. But if I add 2 more weeks and call it 8, and I could decide then, great. If I can't, I'll add another 4, and we'll make it 12 weeks. And if we make it to 12, and I decide it's sustainable, and say what, the holidays, Christmas comes again, and I feel like I want to switch it up, I'll switch it up for Christmas, and then go back to this after Christmas. It's there so that I could be flexible. And really, if I have to really say anything about all this, these questionnaires, the surveys, the personal points program, and every other program Weight Watchers has ever had, the minute you started having choices, like before it was just whatever they decided was the current plan. There were no choices. Then they entered into a phase where you could be on the green plan, the blue plan, the purple plan, and you had a choice. And now we're on a personal points plan where you can retake a survey to change things up. And ever since you've been able to do this, I feel like it has become a very adaptable lifestyle change. When you're joining Weight Watchers is much more adaptable to your lifestyle. But at any given moment, I've said this the last few weeks here, you're going to reach a time in your journey where what you're doing right now is not what you're going to continue doing to keep going. And the biggest thing we have to face is, are we willing to make the change necessary, to make the sacrifice necessary to get to where we want to be? You know, in the beginning, when you first start, there are 2 different kinds of people. And the first person comes in with the motivation that most people dream about. And they're willing to give up everything in the name of success. And they do it. They give up everything, even though it's not necessary. They give up everything in the name of success. Now, the sad part is about this kind of person is the majority of the people that come in like this, they end up realizing how unsustainable this is, and they ultimately fail. And then there's that small percentage with they have what it takes. They have it. The willpower, whatever you want to call it. They have the it factor necessary to give up everything, to sacrifice everything in the name of success. And they actually find success by giving up everything right from day one. The second kind of person is the kind of person, if I had to give it a metaphor, it's like they're underwater and they're desperately trying to swim to the surface to get a breath. But for some reason, they haven't realized that what they're trying to carry with them to get to the surface, the one thing that they're holding on to as they swim to the surface or try to swim, is the one thing weighing them down so much it keeps them under the surface. Let me explain for a second here. I have been both of these people. I'm not talking out of my ass here. I have been on Weight Watchers and various weight loss plans my entire life. I've told you this before. My obesity problem started at a very, very young age. And my fight against my eating habits and my weight problem was fruitless until I came in to the studio on January 12th, 2019. Even after having gastric bypass surgery, I ended up gaining almost all of the weight back. I'm going to explain a little bit about what it is to be these people when we come back. So don't go anywhere. Hello, I'm Donato Russo, and I am the Ranting Weight Watcher. I wrote an affirmation. It's called the Ranter's Creed. I dedicate that affirmation to all of you who are watching. Nothing can stand in your way because you are an unstoppable force. Your challenges crumble in your presence because you are so strong. Your insecurities no longer have power over your life because you are so confident. Your mistakes are your choices, and you are okay with this because you are so intelligent. The mirror and the scale no longer haunt you because you are so beautiful. You can face any circumstance with unwavering support because you are so loved. The demons of your past can no longer torment you because you love yourself. All things are possible as long as you believe because God is on your side. You will achieve all of your goals, not if, but when, because you have no boundaries. You are the champion of your story because you do whatever it takes to win. No one can take what you've done away from you because you are the author and the hero of your story. Arise, champion. The victory is yours. Because you are enough. And we are back. Thanks for sticking with me. So before the break, we're talking about the two different kinds of people that start on Weight Watchers. Now, the first one I told you about was someone who gives up everything in the name of success. I was one of those people. One of the things I loved most was carbs. Now, not carbs like, I like cookies, but I was not a sweets guy. I mean, there could have been all kinds of cakes and pie and everything on the table. I would go for the cookies, have some coffee, and I'd be done with it. But when I tell you, when I was going for those binging moments, if I had a sub roll in the fridge and if I had some cold cuts, you could bet your sweet ass I was in that fridge grabbing the cold cuts, cutting up that sub, and making a big sandwich. That's the kind of stuff I went after when I was binging. There was none of this potato chip stuff. There was none of this. I mean, yes, I had potato chips, but it wasn't what I was binging on. I was binging on the sub. I wanted a big sandwich. And I wanted that sandwich almost every time I binge ate. That was my thing. I was a sandwich guy. I used to say, thank God for the guy that invented the sandwich. If you don't know who that is, Earl Sandwich is his name. Who was playing, I believe it was poker, but it was a card game. Let's just say it like that. It was a card game that went well into the night. And he asked the man who was heading up the bar to take some bread and take the meat that they had left over and put it between two pieces of bread and bring it to him. So he ate the first sandwich ever made. This is a little history lesson. But I didn't mean for it to go there. But I'm off topic. So let's get back on topic. I loved the carbs that were related. Pastas, bread, that kind of carbs. Not necessarily sweets. So I got it in my head numerous times in my entire life that I was going on a no-carb diet. Give up everything in the name of success, and the majority find failure. And knowing as much as I loved food, knowing as much as I loved having that sub, knowing how much I loved eating, there were other times in my life where I decided, that's it, I'm going to do it. Meal replacement shakes and pills. That's what I'm going to eat for breakfast and lunch. Meal replacement shakes and supplemental pills. Vitamins and whatever else. To curb my appetite. And a sensible dinner. I think I failed at that faster than I failed at the no-carb diet. Give up everything for the sake of success. And the majority fail. I used to, even when I started in January 2019, and now I'm choosing a healthy way of losing weight. I went through this whole, I call it the immature me, because when I look back and see how much I've grown throughout the journey, I often look at that version of myself in disgust. Because I got it in my head, and so many of us do, that when we set goals, that our goals know that we weigh in every 7 days. And just because we set a goal on the previous weigh-in day, they know to show up on the next weigh-in day. Every goal should be accomplished 7 days later. And I did this. And I remember pouting and screaming like a child when I stepped on that scale and didn't get what I wanted. Where do we get these things? Where do we get the idea that just because we set a goal, the goal knows we weigh in every Saturday. The goal knows we weigh in every Sunday. Whatever the day you weigh in. And we get it in our head that whatever we change that day is going to show up on the next day we step on the scale. And then we go through this. We didn't do it right. It obviously didn't show up. We got to make another change. And we go through these moments. God knows how many months I acted this way. The scale didn't move. Let's make a change. The scale didn't move. Let's make a change. Because it didn't show up. The results didn't show. There are some of us who desperately try with all of their might to fit in the things that have caused their downfall in their daily intake. They join Weight Watchers. They are all into it. How many points is this? How many points is that? They're zapping everything in the grocery store. They're doing everything they can do, and they're talking to everybody they can talk to, and they're going to 40 workshops a week. And they're gung-ho. And they fail every day. They go beyond their daily allowance every day. Because they need to have certain things that they aren't willing to get rid of. They're just not willing to get rid of it. Some of us drink coffee, and that coffee would be more points than a slice of apple pie because of the caramel and the whipped cream and the God knows whatever else. I mean, some of us really, what we really like is cream that's flavored like coffee. It's like I like my sugar and cream with a little bit of coffee. But these people go after the things that have caused their downfall, and they need them to be a part of their life. They're unwilling to let go of the things. This is where I came up with the analogy of drowning and unwilling to let go of the anchor that holds you under the water in the first place. At some point, some of us decide we are going to make substitutions. When we get mature enough in the journey and we realize, okay, the donut every day is just not sustainable. If I want to be successful, maybe it can't be every day. The donut and the coffee every day. Maybe I can't eat pizza every day. Maybe I can't have a cheeseburger every day. Maybe I can have it like once a week. But I can't have it every day. So we become the substituter. And that's when we go crazy. So especially if you're a snack guy. If you're someone who loves chips. If you're someone who loves pretzels and all these things. And you realize, okay, it's time to give up this stuff. I got to move on from it. What's the first thing the majority of us do? We end up in that studio, and we're in the area where all the snack foods are, the WW snack foods. And we buy whatever version of chips is there, whatever versions of granola bars and protein bars and all these snacks and milkshakes and all these things. And we go home and we spend tons of money. We realize really quickly that just one packet isn't enough. So you go for 2. Hey, it's only 2 points. So you grab 2 each time. And we do this. Really, we substituted the food. But what is the real problem? Is the real problem the food? Or is the real problem the behavior that causes you to want the food? When you're somebody who snacks regularly and snacks all the time, and you know that the snacking is part of your downfall, and all you do is find a substitute for the snacking scenario, did you end the snacking problem? Or did you just find a substitute to continue the behavior? I did this as well. I told you many times when I first started, I would end the night after dinner and have 20 points. And then I'd go eat 10 or 15 points worth of WW snacks and wonder why the scale wasn't going down. I would eat all of those after dinner. You know what a WW snack, what is it, 2-3 points? Bag of chips, little cookies or whatever else. Not many points at all. So if I was blowing 20 points on that stuff, how many of those things was I eating? Where really what I needed to do was stop eating so late. Not find a substitute for the kind of food I would eat. We've all done this. We've all substituted for our bad behavior with better choices. But we don't recruit. The real problem is the behavior, not the choice. Oh, don't get me wrong. The choice is part of the problem, but it's not the core of the problem. If you change the behavior, the other problem doesn't exist anymore. And there's the other thing I used to do. Refusing. I would join new programs, and I would decide that certain aspects of that program were just not necessary. Nah, you don't need to do all that. I'd come up with my own version of whatever it is I was doing. Because I'd decide, no, that's not necessary. We see plenty of these people. We're surrounded by them. People that join Weight Watchers and decide weighing, measuring, not necessary. I could eyeball it. They decide tracking, not necessary. I don't have time for that. I'd rather watch TikTok, YouTube, play on Instagram and Facebook. But I don't got time for tracking. We give up fundamental aspects of the plans we choose because we deem them unnecessary. Yet, if we actually knew what is necessary, we wouldn't be in the position in the first place. In reality, all of these problems that we have were caused because we consistently made bad choices. Whether those choices were the type of food or whether those choices were not to do anything that would help us physically get up and move. We made consistent bad choices in our lives, and that's what put us in this position in the first place. So the one thing that will easily correct everything, and I say easily correct, but not easy to achieve. Don't get it confused. It will easily correct our problems if we are disciplined enough to create consistency. Consistency in healthy food choices and exercise choices. We have to create consistent good choices. Do you have to do it perfectly? No. But you have to be consistent. How do you do this? How do you build consistency? Because that's really what it is. Consistency is the foundation of all of the success that you want. I tell you everything you want. I don't care who you are. Consistency will get you there. You'll have to figure out what it is you need to be consistent in depending on the plan you've chosen. If it's to live a healthy lifestyle. The same thing. If you want to be better in sales, if you want to be better in business in general, you have to know what you have to become consistent in order to achieve those goals. And what do? You make a plan. Not just telling the world what you're gonna do. A detailed plan. Who, what, where, when, how, and why. Who's going to do it? What are you going to do? Where are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? How long are you going to do it? Why are you going to do it? Why? Well, that's easy, Don. We're doing it to lose weight. No. Losing weight is what comes later. The goal is to create consistency, and the weight will come off. Be consistent in what you're trying to do, and you will find what you want. You don't get consistent in 7 days. They said it takes 3 weeks to build a new habit. So add an extra week and call it 4 weeks to really make sure you got it. Whatever you're trying to become consistent in, do it in 4 weeks. At the end of 4 weeks, you're allowed to make a change. You're not allowed to make a change because it's weigh-in day and the scale didn't move. The mysterious laws of weigh-in day, they do not obey what you believe how things should go. They don't care. Consistency takes time. There is nothing easy about this life you've chosen. If you think it's easy now, wait a while. You'll see what I'm talking about. I need you guys to understand this. Please, don't just hear my words. Listen to them. There is a difference. This journey, it is by far more mental and spiritual than it will ever be physical. The behaviors we have learned are so deeply embedded into the person we have become. Healthy eating and exercise are a blip on the radar when compared to the stealth bomber that is the lifetime of corrections you have to make mentally. If all of the heartache, pain, stress, anxiety, and unwanted bad habits equaled a hole that was a foot deep, how many feet deep would your hole be before you could say healthy eating and exercise will fix your problem? Listen to me. There is no amount of exercise, there is no amount of healthy eating that will ever help battle against an unhealthy mindset. It is time, for the first time in some of your lives, to finally tackle the pains of the past, to finally tackle the real root cause of why you do what it is you do. And it is not until you do that that you will ever achieve the success you claim to want. Do what is easy, and your life will be hard. But do what is hard, and your life will be easy. That's what that means. It's time to get started. It's time to get real dirty. And you know what? It's going to hurt sometimes. It's going to really hurt. But what needs to be done, needs to be done. Do you really want what you say you want? If you do, then you'll do what you have to do. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.